Yo, 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 what's up? Jerome Chu back, Team Rockstars. Here to continue my 7-part video. Let's talk about the big picture. This is part two of the 7-part series. So let's dive right into it. Exciting times right now. Exciting times right now. The Olympics are going on. You got Michael Phelps tearing it up in the water, winning gold back to back. Dude's incredible. Got to give him props. Hussein Bolt and Elaine Thompson tearing it up. 100 meters winning gold. I love sports. I love to see people accomplishing great things. So that's pretty exciting. Football season's right here around the corner. That's what's going on. I'm excited about that. But on back into this series, let's talk about the big picture. Just a quick recap. These are some things, 5 topics that I wanted to go into depth about, as far as I feel like if these things are addressed, they can move the globe forward, move humanity forward in a magnificent way. Meaning, if these 5 things are addressed, there would be a trickle down effect to solve sociological issues, economic issues, financial issues, things to really push us forward as a civilization. So I wanted to hit on each topic. Okay. Now, the 5 topics are, again, to just reiterate, number one, and again, not in this particular order, but number one, disclosure of the UFO and ET presence and information regarding that. That's number one. Number two is disclosure of new energy technology. Number three is the truth behind pharmaceuticals and the medical field, human health. And number four will be our financial system, the Federal Reserve, Wall Street, how that all really works. What is it about? Things that need to come to the forefront, disclosure and truth about that topic. And then number five, set a new standard for our educational systems in all subjects. We got to get rid of these glass ceilings. So this segment is about disclosure of the UFO and ET presence. And I wanted to go deeper into facts, definitely names, throw out a couple of dates and events regarding this subject that I feel for the casual listener, or for a person who doesn't research much into this topic. It'll give you some tools. It'll give you some key points, some things to look up yourself on Google or YouTube, or with the resources that you have available. So I'm gonna throw out a few names, and then I'll go over the names and kind of why they're significant, and what they've brought to the frontier regarding this subject. Number one is probably the leading representative, or a whistleblower, or speaker, or author. Has many hats regarding this subject, and his name is Dr. Stephen Greer, Greer. Throw that in Google, throw that in YouTube. Wealth of information, and we'll go more over what he's done here in a second. Another one is David Wilcock. That's Willcock. Another one is going to be Stephen Bassett, Basset. John Podesta, Padesta. Rob Von Daniken. That's VonDanacain. Linda Moulton, Moulton, and David Nora, Noora. Any of these names, like I said, you can put in YouTube, put in Google. You have a wealth of information. And so here, I'll go ahead and give you some information regarding each person. Now, before I go into Dr. Stephen Greer, I just want to lay a foundation. Now, I know as soon as someone brings up some UFOs or some ETs or some aliens, it's like, this guy's crazy, not wrapped too tight, wears tinfoil hats. I know, I get it. I know it's a crazy topic. I know it's a weird topic. I know it's a socially taboo topic, and that's for a few different reasons. One, it's psychological propaganda, meaning it's been done by design, and we'll go over more how that's been put into place. But you've been basically socialized to feel like these things are wacko or cuckoo or crazy. What does that do? It makes you not want to speak about them. It makes you not want to bring them up in casual situations because you don't want to be looked at as off or, out there, However, the reason why this is so important, and I talked about it a little bit in the first video, and I'll get into it a little deeper now, is that single-handedly this subject coming to the forefront could be this biggest story ever told in human civilization, next to like Jesus falling out of a cloud and coming back. The reason why is because once we accept the fact that we are not alone in this universe, that there are other advanced societies and civilizations out there that have been visiting this planet for thousands of years. For one, I feel like that knocks down the barriers of us all being divided. One race versus another race, one country versus another country, Democrats versus Republicans, all these things that keep us divided, that gives us like a universal concept of togetherness, oneness, how big things really are. Number two is, some of the dogmas that keep us separated. I get it is going to shake up religion a little bit, but also there's a lot of parallels in religions when you look at things from a bigger scope. The universe, God creates in many different ways, and it's not just limited to this planet. But the biggest thing is when we're not dependent on oil and gasoline for energy. If the energy crisis, boom, solved. Unlimited clean water, boom, solved. Unlimited food, world hunger, boom, solved. The technology behind it as far as DNA replication and curing all these diseases, AIDS, cancer, boom, solved. Imagine where we would be if just those few things were just clear, just gone. Once we really, really get into this topic and why it's so significant. And then one of the biggest, I would say, criticisms we get about it sometimes is the fact as far as the information that's out there that's, for lack of a better term, is pure bullshit. There's a lot of bullshit out there as far as Photoshop pictures and people making up stories and just things that are out there. But understand that those things have been put out there for a reason. Some people do it on their own, and some of it has been strategically done to discredit the actual true information that does exist. And then, if one of my favorite shows is called Ancient Aliens. It's on the History Channel. Just cut on the History Channel. It's called Ancient Aliens. This is not a modern phenomenon. This has been going on for thousands of years. As in, they got paintings from like the 17 and 1600s that paint these things. UFOs, discs, and saucers and stuff like that. Photoshop wasn't around then. They got this stuff painted in caves, literally painted in caves, carbon dated for thousands of years. Have it in hieroglyphs and ancient writings. Before any of this modern Photoshop and propaganda and stuff was created. So keep that in consideration, as we're going through this information. Also, a big skepticism or critique that I hear about this issue is there's no way it's true, because if it's true, wouldn't they land on the White House lawn? There's no way they'll be able to keep a secret about something, this profound, something this pendulum changing, and example, when we invented the atom bomb and nuclear weapons and dropped it on Hiroshima, there was thousands of people that worked on that project and nobody had any idea about it. The secrecy can be achieved, and it can be strategically achieved, and it has been achieved. And the number one reason, because they say, well, why would they keep this a secret? One of the biggest reasons is just control and how it is projected that people would react when this type of information is disclosed. Meaning, I can understand from a military defense standpoint, you can't just really come out and just tell people, hey, there's things flying around in the sky. We don't know exactly what they are, who they are, where they're from, or what they want, but they fly at tens of thousands of miles an hour and make 90-degree turns. They can materialize and dematerialize in a blink of an eye. It becomes an issue with people, feeling protected. But regardless of the fact, one thing that kind of angers me about the situation in general is a lot of this fear porn. That's what I call it. Fear porn that's out there regarding this subject. People are really scared about it. That's why they're afraid to talk about it. It makes them sleepy when you bring it up. They want to change the subject or, call it this or call it that. But I tell people there's nothing to be afraid of when talking about this subject. The reason why is, as technologically advanced that you would have to be initially in order to traverse, hundreds of thousands of light years at multiples the speed of light, you can understand that once you've arrived here, there wouldn't, if you really wanted to take things over, I'm just going to play devil's advocate with that for a minute. If you really was trying to take over the planet, there would be no war. There would be no, they're not shooting at us with bullets. They could literally shut down the planet in a blink of an eye if that's what was wanted. But I do feel like we're dealing with advanced beings that have been here observing and interacting at some points. But again, I won't get too deep into agendas and different things like that yet. But again, Ancient Aliens is a very good show on the History Channel that covers a lot of that, and we'll go deeper into that. But anyways, don't be afraid about it, okay? That's what I'm getting at. There's no reason to be afraid about it. And then on a personal note, if somebody brings it up, whether you're at the bar, whether, you're just kicking it at a party, if you're just having lunch, if someone wants to bring up this topic and they want to talk about it seriously, don't shoot them down. Don't make them feel weird or off or crazy or just, just out there, if they're coming from a serious standpoint and they're just kind of curious about it or they want to talk about it, entertain it for a minute. Talk about it like a normal human being would talk about any other subject. I feel like that's number one. We got to knock down these barriers of people just, acting crazy when someone brings up this topic, because it's a serious subject. So now, with all that said and all that out the way, we'll go into a couple more facts and a couple more of these names. Okay. So Dr. Stephen Greer, like I said, he's one of the leading specialists in this topic. Dr. Stephen Greer, he has several books, and he's the founder of CSETI, CSETI. You can look it up. Dude is a beast. He's a beast, and he's so organized. It's insane. He has literally hundreds of interviews with top-ranking government and military witnesses. Over 4,000 cases that they've compiled where objects have landed on the ground and left physical evidence. Over 3,500 pilot cases, including John Callahan, the head of the FAA, where UFOs have been tracked on radar going tens of thousands of miles per hour and then dematerializing and rematerializing and making 90-degree turns in the sky. Now, Hillary Clinton, this is a teaser. Hillary Clinton has also addressed this issue, and she's pretty tied to this topic, and we'll get a little bit deeper into that, but I wanted to tease that. But back to Stephen Greer, the reason why I have such respect for him and I recommend him if you're a beginner or a starter on this subject is because he went out and organized hard facts, and he got, as far as, okay, we'll take a John Callahan, the head of the FAA, for example. The FAA, the one that is over, the airport, navigational systems that, they come in and land and they have to report in. And so these are pilots that, they fly for a living. They're in the sky for hours a day, every day. So they've seen stuff. and they've reported it back to him. And a lot of this stuff is kind of swept under the rug because, again, they don't want the publicity. They know the propaganda dealing with it, like UFOs. Here we go again. But he's willing to come forward and blow the whistle on these things. And it's not just stories. They've actually tracked these things on radar. Like with radar, you can track how fast it's moving, see it's a solid object, see it change directions, see it's not a comet. And so they have this physical evidence. And he actually organized a meeting on Capitol Hill for these types of witnesses to come forward. And the biggest thing that holds them back is the people that work on these top secret government projects, these black projects, they're sworn to secrecy. And, so they're not able to completely come out and disclose this information because of the oath that they took. Now, when we dig a little bit deeper to it and you see how this information is being suppressed, and it's being suppressed illegally, and when you find out who has access to the information and who doesn't, constitutionally, legally, they should be able to speak without being held accountable to the oath that they took for it being top secret, because the whole operation itself is illegal constitutionally, the way they're withholding the information and the way that they're picking and choose who has access to the information. It's not being governed from the actual government. So again, I brought this up in the last video, but it's not the entire government that's the bad guy. There's a shadow portion to it that's kind of pulling the strings, and other people are kind of kept on a need-to-know basis. Now, with Stephen Greer, what he's organized is how this ties back into energy, and we'll go more into that with part 3. But he's actually organized where we can bring these types of technologies forward that come from this phenomenon to help wean us off of oil, gasoline, and internal combustion engines globally. So that's one big aspect of it. And then he gives talks worldwide, and he's really organized a top level of witnesses that are ready to testify under oath in front of Congress with penalty of perjury and in jail time, but testify under oath that these things are true, to explain what they worked on in these top secret projects, to explain what they saw and what they've been asked to cover up when it comes to UFOs. And these are legit witnesses, people with degrees and regarded as the tops in their fields. These aren't just the guy on the side of the road with the cardboard sign. And so that's what he's doing. He's organizing these people and these movements and putting out documentaries and movies to raise awareness with this, so people will understand the validity of this situation and the magnitude that it has globally to move us forward. Now, Stephen Greer has briefed the Clinton administration, the Obama administration, the head of the CIA on these topics, the Rockefellers. He's worked with several movers and shakers in these top ranked fields. And again, I'll let you get deeper into his YouTube channel and books and different things to see, all the details about it. But we're going to loop it back because I want to get back to Hillary Clinton. John Podesta, Padesta. He was the chief of staff, or we'll say senior advisor for the Obama administration. And he's actually the campaign chairman for Hillary Clinton right now. And when he stepped down as senior advisor, I believe it was 2014, during the Obama administration, he put out a tweet that set the world ablaze, because people was like, wait, where did this come from? The tweet, I'll read it, and I quote, the tweet said, "My biggest failure of 2014, once again, not securing the disclosure," and that's hashtag disclosure, "of the UFO files. Hashtag the truth is out there." So he's basically saying he put a lot of work into getting this information released publicly, and I feel like he did knock down a lot of barriers, but he wasn't able to get it all disclosed before he stepped down in 2014. But again, this is the dude that is trying to get Hillary Clinton elected right now. This is her campaign chairman. So they're all in the same circles, So that lets you know, again, how seriously this topic is and how it's being taken, because the potential president of the United States of America is very aware of it, and she has a lot of people connected to her about this topic, and it's only going to be a matter of time before this is coming up in her interviews. And I don't mean like Jimmy Kimmel where they joke about it, but actual serious hard questions being asked to them about this subject. Now I'm gonna have to fast forward again because I want to keep my videos at 30 minutes. I'm about 20 minutes in right now, but David Wilcock, Willcock, he's another one of my favorite speakers on this topic. Dude is a sheer genius. He can break down the physics of this phenomenon. He's also compiled, numerous of pages and documents and information, such as Dr. Stephen Greer has. He's the author of what's called the source field investigation. He gets more into the spirituality side that comes along with this, the nature of the universe and how it self-creates. Just he kind of opens up that portion of it. And again, I'm not going to go too deep into that because I want to kind of keep it focused on the info. But he has a really unique angle. And again, he uses science, mathematics, spirituality, different things to back his findings. And he's also on the show on the History Channel, Ancient Aliens, and so is Dr. Stephen Greer. Stephen Bassett, Basset, he's another speaker, and you can find him. His website is, you can look at him on citizenhearing.org, and paradigmresearchgroup.org is his website. And they had a citizen hearing, and it was actually in Canada, where they had officials and other witnesses and people in higher positions come forward, kind of like in a congressional setting, like Congress setting, present questions, present information, and basically it gave the U.S. kind of like a blueprint, like this is how we can go about our disclosure. If you go to his website, there's over 30 hours of video where they basically go super deep into this topic and break it down for you. So that's Stephen Bassett. He's big on Capitol Hill and pushing disclosure, and he's just one of the movers and shakers in this genre as well. Rob Van Daniken, Vandanacain. He's the author of Chariot of the Gods. He's the one that's kind of credited for kicking this entire thing off, as far as when he started looking at megalithic structures all over the planet, and cave paintings and artifacts and things that were kind of unexplained. Scriptures from different religious texts, whether it's the Bible or the Mahabharata and different things. And he just started asking questions. Like he said, if this wasn't interpreted literally, and combining it with what we know today about science and relativity and biology and different things like that, he just started asking questions like, what does this mean? What if this meant this? And what if this equaled this? And he kind of jump-started that way of thinking, where people just started asking a lot of questions about things that they were seeing. So again, I'm just throwing out names to kind of set a platform for those who want to do their own research into this. Again, they provide you with a couple of tools to start out with. Linda Moulton, she's also a great journalist and researcher into ancient architecture, and she's researched abductions and just a lot of the phenomenon that most journalists don't want to touch with a 10-foot pole because they're scared. She's awesome. The way she puts her information together, the detail that she pays attention. She's not afraid to travel all over the world and interview people. Like, she digs deep. So again, that's Linda. And to tie this all together in a bow for you, David Norrie. David Norrie is the host for a great source of news. If you're looking for alternative source of news instead of the BS you see on CNN and Fox News sometimes, BBC is pretty cool, but he's the host of what's called Coast to Coast AM. Coast to Coast AM. So radio station, but you could just go to YouTube and type in Coast to Coast AM and you can catch all the episodes, because they're not afraid to post socially taboo type news. That's sadly, that's where we have to get a lot of our real news from, because there's no filters on it. And again, very organized, very professional people, very intelligent people that present the information on his shows. A lot of these other names, actually all of these other names pretty much that I've named on this list, have been guests on his show. And it's pretty popular. You'll be surprised. I've asked around to some of my friends and colleagues, and a lot of people listen to Coast to Coast AM. So again, that's another source for you to find some of this information. And so I'll wrap it up with this. I feel like everything happens for a reason. As a kid, I used to go into the library and read all the books on astronomy that I could find. I just was born with a natural fascination about space. And when we ran out, I used to go to the librarian like, hey, do we got any more books about space or the planets? And then I was born in a very spiritual family, a very Christian family. I found God through Jesus. I feel like there's a lot of ways that you can find God. But the reason why I say all this is that I feel like I've been groomed to present this type of information in a rational way to people, in a way that's still cool, in a way that's still normal. It's not something I just started doing yesterday. Like, I've been researching all my life, using my spirit of discernment all my life. And I know there's a lot of BS out there. I'm not a type of person that believes everything that I hear or everything that I read. I'm actually very, very skeptic because I want to get down to the nitty gritty, the meat and potatoes behind these issues. But bottom line is the ET presence and UFO disclosure has to happen. This is something that should be taken very seriously. It's something that should be pushed to the forefront. And again, not because it's cool or not because it's about space and, it's very interesting, but because this is something that can literally change the world, change the way of thinking, move us forward light years where the quality of life will be better for everybody. It won't just be the top 1% that's rich and wealthy and don't have to worry about their next bill or how am I going to put food on the table. This is the type of things that, again, will move us forward as a humanity. And we have to approach it as such. We have to approach it with these facts. And people need to stop being afraid to talk about it. And if you're somebody in these industries or somebody that has this information, this generation will surprise you. They're very open-minded and they're very intelligent. I never insult anybody's intelligence because people know things. When I go around and talk to people, people are aware of these things. So spread the knowledge, bring it up in the conversations, and then when you see this stuff start coming out in the news, now you're aware of it, and we can help push these things forward. Because again, this can be the biggest story that's ever came out ever, and it can really move us forward together. So other than that, again, it's Team Rockstars. This is part 2 of my 7 series video. Let's talk about the big picture. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment, repost. Again, if you object, that's cool, as long as you do it in a respectable manner, as long as you do it in a mature manner, you have facts to back what it is that you're bringing to the table. I just want to start the discussion. It's something very important that's been looked over for too long. So hey, let's talk about it. That's the purpose of the show. So other than that, this Jerome Chu out, Team Rockstars. Let's go.